Shall we pray? Our gracious Father in heaven, we thank you this morning for another opportunity, Lord, to learn the ways and means of self-sustenance. And these are the ways and means, Lord, that you have given us to take care of ourselves now and in the future. I pray, dear Heavenly Father, that we are careful with what we do, what we say. I pray, Lord, that we will learn much, Lord, and work hard to bring glory to your name. May everything we do, dear Father, reflect your image. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, this morning we are canning peaches, but I have a question for the class. We have peaches and we have enough to can for everyone, but we have some pineapple, we have some mango, we have some papaya, we have some grapes, and some cherries. So if you'd like to make fruit cocktail, we can change the peaches from sliced peaches to diced peaches, cut up the other fruits, and make a fruit cocktail. And it's up to you. You can vote yes or no. Either way, we'll be happy with your choice, and we'll move forward. So if you want to make just clean peaches, vote yay at this time.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. If you want to make a fruit cocktail, a tropical fruit cocktail, you can vote yay or nay at this time.
Yay.
Okay.
I want to do both. I don't know. That wasn't an option. Paige can't eat pineapple.
Okay.
She wouldn't be able to eat.
Well, honestly, we're going to do both because Dan wants just peaches. So we need to peel all of the peaches anyway. So we'll pack the peaches in their jars first, and then we'll cut up the fruit at the same time, but we'll add that to the peaches after we've packed the slices. The process for this is we have set up our canners with their water and they're boiling. This is what method?
Water bath.
Water bath. In a water bath method, you need to completely fill the canner to about 2/3 full because the water has to go over the jars 1 to 2 inches. And then they have to boil for the specified time for the peaches or the fruit cocktail. Since we're mixing fruit, each recipe for fruit has a specified time. When you're mixing them, you have to use the time allotted for the fruit that takes the longest. That way everything is processed properly. So for our fruit cocktail, it's going to either be the mangoes or the peaches that take the longest. So we'll see which time that we're going to use to process that. We have washed our peaches. What I wash my peaches in is a solution of 1/4 cup lemon juice and 1 tablespoon of salt per gallon of water. I soak the peaches in there. I try to soak them for at least 30 minutes. This morning we didn't soak them as long as I would have normally soaked them. And when you do that, when you come back to your peaches, you'll notice that there's a film of wax on the water. And that lets you know that whatever was on that peach, what was sprayed on that peach, has been pulled off by the lemon juice and the salt. I then rinse them under running water and place them on a towel, or I have some mats I place them on to dry. After we do that, it's time to take these peaches and dunk them in a pot of boiling water. And after we dunk them in that boiling water, we're going to dunk them in a vat of ice water. And that loosens the peel, and you should be able to peel it right off the peach. It's the same process you would use if you were peeling tomatoes. Once we have peeled the peaches, we're going to drop them in a bowl with lemon and water, the same proportions, 1/4 cup of lemon juice to a tablespoon of water. That will keep the peach from oxidizing and turning brown. So while it's waiting for you to slice it up or dice it up, it's soaking in that solution to keep it from getting brown. But the important thing to remember about this solution is you can't leave the peaches in there long because lemon will naturally cook food. So you're trying to work to get those peaches out of that lemon juice solution and into another bowl of rinse water or clear water to make sure you take that lemon juice off so your peaches don't end up cooking.
Did you say 1 tablespoon of salt?
Salt.
Okay, you said water the last time, 1 tablespoon of water.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
1 tablespoon of salt
okay.
to 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice.
Yes.
Yeah. And I use bottled lemon juice. What cup? I'm sorry, 1/4 cup. What's happening to me? I use the bottled lemon juice because it's less expensive.
Okay.
And you're just pouring it down the drain. So And it will pull the toxins or whatever's on the outside of the fruit off.
How long do you put the peaches in the...
When I put them in the sink, I soak them there for about 30 minutes. And then you can notice the film on the water.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. So
right in there.
in here, you try to get them out as quickly as possible because once the peel is off the peach, the lemon juice will cook the flesh of the peach. So you get them in there to keep them from oxidizing, but you want to cut them up as quickly as possible and put them in a bowl of clear water to rinse off the lemon juice and to keep them from cooking. And then once they're in that rinse water, you're going to start packing your jars with your fruit. And then we're going to make a simple syrup. And a simple syrup it can be anywhere from a half a cup of sugar for every 4 cups of fruit. It can be no sugar and just your fruit and water. And some people increase that. If people want a heavy syrup, they'll do up to 2 cups of sugar for every 4 cups of fruit. Yeah, it's very sweet. And what happens when you do that is your fruit will float in the sugar, and the sugar kind of pulls the sugar and the fruit out. And the juice is very tasty like fruit, and the fruit tastes like sugar. So
you said you can either make half a cup sugar for every 4 cups of fruit or no sugar?
Or you can use none. And if you want a heavy syrup, you can put up to 2 cups of sugar for every 4 cups of fruit.
But if you don't use any sugar, it's going to bleach all the...
If you don't use any sugar, your fruit will have a more diluted taste. It won't be as peachy as it would be if you put like a half a cup of sugar in the water. And I want you to taste it, the water, before you pour it on the sugar. Because the water at that point, you'll barely taste the sugar. But once you put these two together and process it, if you open the jar, the water will taste sweet and it will taste like peaches. So, but I want you to taste it first so you'll know that you're making a very diluted simple syrup. And you'll know that you weren't, processing a lot of sugar into your fruit. And then if you taste it and you decide that you taste too much sugar, you can either go down to a 1/4 cup or you can go to no sugar at all. So before you put it into your fruit, taste your product. Okay? Because whatever you use now, in the future, that's what you'll be using. You found something that works for you, and when you do your fruit, you'll know exactly what your simple syrup should consist of. Okay, we are ready to get started.
Are you saying we could vary the sugar? If we want a little bit more, we could put it in our own
No,
this morning?
no, because a simple syrup is made like this. You have to put your sugar and water together, and you have to boil it. Because the sugar has to be completely dissolved before you can pour it in the jars with your fruit. Or what will happen is once they're processed, the sugar will crystallize. And you'll have that grainy texture to your syrup, and it clings to the fruit too.
Okay, so
You have to boil it first. So it comes, that's why they call it a simple syrup, because when the sugar boils with the water, it becomes a syrup.
Okay, so this will be the same for every one of
This,
us here.
yes, yes, it'll be the same. But you need to taste it so you have a consensus that everybody's willing to go with this. Because if not, we're willing to make a simple syrup that suits you, because you have to eat this product at the end. Okay? So we're going to start with this 1/2 cup, because it's the lowest you can, well, it's not the lowest, but it's the best simple syrup I've found that helps the peaches retain their flavor, and it's not really sweet. So that's why I want you to taste it. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to again, well, we have a small enough group, we can all do it together. We're going to have 2 people make the simple syrup. And then we're going to have 2 people scald peaches, 2 people rinse, dunk them in cold water, and 2 people peel. So we're going to divide up. Okay, we're going to divide up, and then we're going to give everybody a responsibility, because that way this process will go very fast. For those who want to turn this into a fruit cocktail, I'm going to give you a pineapple to cut and core, and you're going to get grapes to wash, you're going to get the cherries to pit. So you got some work to do for those who want to do that. So let's get started. It's gonna be good. We made it before. It's really good.
Oh, talking about the, I'm sure it will.
Yeah, the fruit cocktail is really, really good. You need a cutting board? Okay, excuse me. We're gonna dice, all the fruit is gonna be diced, so if you just slice it off the seed, then you're gonna dice it up to bite-sized pieces.
Okay, I see.
Well, then if he's dicing, maybe this needs to go into a separate bowl because he's already diced in there.
If he's, anything that's diced, is good. Well, I need to give you a little lemon water to make sure it doesn't brown.
Too skinny. Do you need a?
Can you just dip that in that lemon water?
Yes.
And then, that's beautiful.
Spoon it up. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, put it in there. Just dip it face down in the lemon water. And then you can cut it into here.
You caught me, right?
I need my spoon.
Yeah, that would be good right there.
Whoa.
You're gonna fit it.
See? Our new instructor for the day. So, you're going to carefully drop them in. Don't put more than 5 or 6 in at a time because you got to quickly get them out. So, what you want is them to get heat on the outer surface of them. And usually, they'll float back up. Sometimes they don't. If they're not as ripe, they don't. But once they do this, no more than 1 minute. You're going to take them out and immediately immerse them in the cold water.
Okay.
1 minute there. And then you can peel the peel right off of
You actually
them.
have to need a knife or you can use your finger.
Usually you can use your fingers, but every now and then you might need a knife to do it.
Let's see that we can put them in.
So how long did you say they're going for, the peaches?
Just no more than a minute. Sometimes they don't
minute.
even need that.
Okay.
And we're going to start taking them out. See, they'll feel kind of soft.
And how long in the ice?
Same amount of time.
1 minute? Okay.
Yeah, and these are not ready to come off.
I was trying to watch the first one you put in there, but I lost it.
Hand to put them in. Is that what you're
See,
going to try to do?
that's when you know they're ready to come off.
Okay.
We have in the laundry room, there's a step.
See there?
I don't know if I can get in here or not.
So, there you go. And you can check each one. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I'm just using my tip of my finger, yeah?
No, you got to scratch it a little bit to peel. See there, it's ready to go, and I'm sure the other two are now. And they have to go completely in the ice to cool, because they need to cool off as quickly as possible. They'll continue cooking. Yeah, they'll continue
So we have to
cooking.
get them in there quickly because we only want one.
And then you can take the ones out of there after a minute and start peeling the skin off of them. It's ice water.
Of course, you don't have fingernails, so that might be tricky. Well, thank you very much. There you go. Just trying to help you out. These ladies, they're making sure that
You might want to do
I'm not totally idle.
No, we're putting the skin in here.
The skin you're going to toss.
You're going to toss it?
Yeah, so you need a compost bowl for that. Okay, I'll get one for you. Okay, there's a compost bowl if you want.
Yeah, here's a.
See, we're going to let this one go.
She said if they're green, they don't peel as good.
Right, they don't. Then you'll need a knife.
I got a knife anyway.
Okay. Your next, all right, simple syrup.
Simple syrup?
Yeah, you can see it looks very, very watery. It's not thick, it's not creamy, it's not sticky in any sense. It's just a teeny bit of sugar and some water. So I'm going to pass everybody a spoon.
Has that already been boiled?
It has already been boiled.
Yeah.
Because if you don't boil it, it crystallizes, you said?
Yes. After we finish these pineapples, it's going to be the simple syrup. I have 24 cups of water in there, so who can tell me how much sugar has to go into 24 cups of water? Absolutely. 6 cups of sugar. I think she's washing a cutting board. There it is. Here it comes. All of our jars are clean? Okay, can you help? Well, you're already washing dishes. No, I'm going to get somebody else to help. We're going to take a dish towel, wipe off the top of these lids and move these because our stuff is going to have to go here. We're looking for the ingredients that we're using to see what their processing time is because whichever one is the longest, that's how long our fruit cocktail process is.
Honey spice peaches are
Process times
25
25
minutes.
minutes, 30 quarts.
Mangoes are 20 minutes.
Peaches are 23
It
minutes.
says mixed fruits, 25 minutes.
All right.
Pineapple
Right here.
is 20 minutes per quart. So
Check out pineapple.
Size are 15.
pineapple is 20 minutes.
Okay, so now we know 25 minutes is the longest time.
Quarts is 30.
The mixed, that's right, 25 minutes. So
30.
Yeah, 30 where?
is 30 for peaches?
Peaches quart is 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes it is then. So we're gonna water bath our fruit cocktail and our peaches for 30
What about the
minutes.
cherries? You need to find the cherries.
The cherries aren't very long, but go ahead and look them up.
Where did you get that 30 from? Down here?
Look under peaches.
See right here. Quarts 30 minutes.
Oh, that's it.
We are almost ready to put this in jars. Has everybody gotten their jars washed? Oh, well, we have to let those who are doing only peaches first do their peaches. Not who said 6 was the number of cups of sugar? Come, Casey, you get to put in. Because we need somebody to do it. We need somebody who knew it. Because it's 24 cups of water. So, and we're only putting 1/4 cup of sugar for every cup of water. So if you divide 24 by 4, it's 6.
Where do we get the 24?
That's how much water I put in the pot.
Oh,
So that we could process this.
24 jars? Is that
24 cups of water.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to add 6 cups of sugar to that. Let me get a measuring cup for you. Yeah, but you'd have to drink the whole 24 cups of water to get that 6 cups of sugar.
so you are going to cook the peaches first?
Okay, our simple syrup is going to have to come to a boil. So you can be jarring up your fruit as we're waiting for the syrup to come to a boil. When it comes to a boil, if you look under mixed fruit, it'll tell you your headspace. And for those of you who are doing peaches, you would look under your recipe for peaches to get your headspace. Sure. It's in the, yes, it's in there. It's also in your packet, how to do peaches.
I thought you said it was a 1/4 or a 1/2 cup sugar for every 4 cups of water.
Yes, but I only put 1/4 cup in.
Just
She
to
cut
cool
it
it?
back.
No, just so you could see what it would taste like
Okay.
with the least amount of sugar possible. And from there, if you don't like a little bit of sugar, you can add and go up higher. But if you start at the lowest point and you find you're satisfied with that, you know there's no need to add a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Would you say the
But
purpose
you're
of the
adding-
syrup was again?
The simple syrup is a preservative for the
preservative,
fruit.
right.
But you're adding 1 cup of sugar for every 4 cups of.
No, not for this. We're doing 1/4 cup of sugar for every 4 cups of water. So because there are 24 cups of water there, he has to put 6 cups of sugar in there.
That's not like sugar from.
No, it's unprocessed cane sugar. Mhm. All right. You can get your jars if you like, and we're going to mix this fruit in one big bowl After those who want peaches only will jar up their peaches. Yes. Okay, where's my 4-cup measure line?
Show you what?
Just push it on the side.
And then pull it on the side. You get this air out.
No, you're not. Yeah.
I'm gonna write my name on it. Nobody else.
Oh.
That's right.
The pots need to. 12. Pardon?
I forgot you were making hot sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Oh, perfect. All right, we're back to 24 cups of water. Now we do a cup and a half of sugar. Okay, ready?
Yes.
I think both of these have a little bit in it, more than enough.
Okay, so it's about this.
Oh, we gotta put the hot.
I think half the.
Okay,
It's about right here.
Yeah.
That's second, second line.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's where it stops.
if you're all measured out,
I think so.
all right.
So you measure after the sugar water?
We can leave it like that. You can all go and do that. That's fine.
I don't think it'd be more.
Yeah.
Just like haystacks.
Yeah.
I think I remember how it looked.
It's pretty.
So is it what it is for mangoes?
Did you get peaches?
You know
He
that.
did.
I told you
He
that.
did.
Yeah, I did. I think I erased it on my memory.
All right. Then you might want to put a few more peaches on the top because you look a little low.
Is that what it is?
Eat a real mango.
There you go. Now
Yes. let me
I've been
try
trying to go for a while.
you want to measure yourself. All right, you guys mix away. If you want to chop those, you can vote on chopping those if you want. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Matter to you guys?
No, it, yeah.
Why don't you just dump it in the bigger bowl?
Look how pretty that is.
Oh, you get it in the water.
Red cherries really make it.
Of just
Oh,
one, just use one.
Do you want me to use a spoon so that we don't get the liquid in?
no, the liquid doesn't matter. It's just nice juice. It'll taste good.
Does it matter for this one?
No, it doesn't.
I went 2 bottles apiece.
Oh, you did
So whatever is left over from the salad.
No, you asked for what, lunch? You got it.
Listen to me. You're not listening.
You're not listening.
Yeah, I got it on the card.
You could actually have one person filling, passing them down, one person putting the simple syrup in, pass it down, somebody else puts the lid on, and then the last person puts it in the pot.
Okay, now we still, after the syrup goes in, we've got to.
You got to wipe off before the lid goes on.
Yes, we do.
You're very good there.
Otherwise, we've messed up.
Okay. You got the funnels inside of the jars. You can let it rest on the fruit. Are you holding it up so you can see?
No.
Okay, so there's no excuse for that.
You hear what she said?
So all of these washed. Okay. We need to move on because there's a couple other things we need to address before we're finished. Okay. I hope you have your folder because there's some things in there we need to do. Under the last tab in the back, no, in the back pocket, you're going to find a canning quiz.
Not another quiz.
Look, you're at the end. We want to know what you know. But this one we're going to fill in as we go along because we're going to discuss it. This tells me what I skipped when I was talking, giving you lecture and discussing what to do and what not to do with canning. This gives me an idea of the things that I missed, and it gives you the information that you deserve. All right. If I'm going to ask the questions, if you know the answer, please raise your hand and give me the answer. And if not, I'm going to give you the answer and the reasoning behind it. So, number one, if it doesn't matter if you make up your own canning recipe or use one from an approved canning manual. Is that true or false? Does it matter? Pam? False. Why is that false?
It's because we don't really know the specific ratio of the different ingredients, and it's better to follow a recipe when you're first starting.
And who knows why that's important? There's one element in canning.
Oh, so you can figure out if you need a pressure cooker or a water bath?
Not really. Okay, let me give it to you. Making up your own canning recipes without using scientifically tested recipes doesn't ensure the pH of your food. And you need to know if it's acidic and how acidic it is, or if it's non-acidic. Now, if this is vegetables, it makes a difference because canning times make a difference. If you've got corn and beans are canned for 90 minutes. So if you mix food in a jar and you add corn or beans and you had green beans, which process for like 25 minutes, you now push that recipe up to 90 minutes.
So corn or beans, you said take 90 minutes?
They take, corn and dry beans take 90 minutes. So it's very important that the recipes that you get, you know what that pH is. There are ways to measure pH. I don't do that. That's very technical, and it requires you buying test strips and measuring every single jar, and that can be expensive.
So you're saying just don't add those things and
just don't.
separately?
No, I'm saying just don't use somebody else's recipe that you have no idea what the quantities are, so that when you put them together, you don't know if that pH is adequate to water bath or to pressure can it. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. Number two, it's okay to add extra starch, flour, or other thickeners to your canning recipes. False. Why is that false? No. Adding thickeners to your recipe makes them dense. And heat doesn't penetrate well in dense environments. So the denser your food is, the less likely it is that the pressure was able to reach the center of that food and kill the bacteria that may have been there. So if the recipe does not call for these things, do not add them. Okay, number three. Processing foods by using an altitude chart for correct times is optional. What do you think? Because we didn't talk about that. It is false because the altitude makes a difference in boiling times. Okay? Now, if your altitude is higher, your boiling time is lower. Okay. Number four, adding extra ingredients such as onions, chilies, bell peppers, or other vegetables to canning directions changes the pH of the food and is not a safe practice. We just discussed that. That's true or false? That's true.
Okay, bear back 1 second. You said when the altitude is higher, the boiling time is less?
It's less.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I hear them.
Yes, it's time. It's time. There was a timer there. You seen the timer?
Back behind the jar.
Does anyone have a clock that we can time this other one with, or on their phone? Could you do that, please? Just one. Well, here, if you put 25 minutes on yours for this one, then I'll use this for this one. Okay, we are on, yes please, start it now. We are on number 5. You can safely skip the venting step on your canner to save time. Is that true or false? False. You can, that's right, you cannot safely skip that step. Venting pressure, not venting the pressure canner before processing results in air pockets that will not reach the high temperatures that you intend to have. You need 240 to 250 and you won't reach that temperature if you do not vent that system first to create that pressure. Number 6, never use untested equipment. Always, it should say, always have your pressure canner gauge tested each year. That is true. Because pressure canner gauges are like any other piece of equipment. They can become off balance or out of correct position. So you need to have it tested. And the place that you go to do that is your local extension office. The government has set up a unit in the extension office that tests pressure gauges for your canners. Number 7, it is still safe to use old-fashioned canning directions for processing tomato-based recipes. Is that true or false?
That's false.
That's false. Why?
Because of the GMO tomatoes and because they have a lot, less, you have to add more lemon juice to it if they're GMO or if they're not heirlooms.
Because of crossbreeding in our tomatoes, we have lost some of the acidity in them. So if you want to process tomatoes, you have to, 1, know the type of tomato you have, and if you're unsure, what do you add to it to bring the acid level up? Lemon juice or vitamin C powder, ascorbic acid powder. Okay. Number 8, always cool your pressure canner under running water. What do you think? No, no, no. Jake says no. No, we don't do that, especially with the aluminum canners because they will warp. And once they do that, you've just spent $200 and tossed it into the trash can. So when you cool your canner, allow it to cool naturally. And then wash it in warm, sudsy water. And I don't think I told you how to clean your pressure canner. It does come in the directions. But when you can, you'll notice that that nice shiny surface on the inside of your canner tarnishes to a dark black color. If you get some, it just left my mind. Pardon me? No, it's simpler than that. Cream of tartar. If you get cream of tartar and put it and dampen it into a paste, you can clean all of that tarnish out of the inside of the bottom of your canner and bring it back to its shiny newness.
To aluminum?
Yeah, into these canners. Yes.
Those are steel.
Those are, well, it's cast aluminum.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Cream of tartar?
Cream of tartar.
And with cream of tartar, you said something else after that.
Oh, you make it into a paste. Just wet it a little, make it into a paste, and clean the inside of your canner with that. You can clean the outside also, but the inside is what really tarnishes. Okay, number 9. Always retighten screw bands while the jars are still hot. True or false? False is correct. Why? You could break the seal on those jars if you do that. You actually, once you take your jars out of your canner and put them wherever you're going to put them on your counter space, they are not to be touched for 24 hours.
What's not supposed to be touched for 24 hours?
Once you remove your jars from the canner and you position them on your countertop, they're to be left there for 24 hours. Repositioning them or placing them too close together or repacking them in the boxes could cause them not to seal, or if they are sealed, could cause them to unseal. Either way, pressure or water bath. Any hot jar, once you put it down, it should stay there until it's completely cool. Number 10, you can safely can 2 layers of jars at one time in the pressure canner. Is that true or false? It's true. We did that, didn't we? We did that with our jelly jars.
You don't need another thing?
There is a tray that goes between them to stack them, and it's only true if you can still add 1 to 2 inches of water above the jar line. Or that's for water bathing.
Couldn't do that with the quart.
You couldn't do that with a quart unless you put an 8-ounce or a 4-ounce jar on top of there. So you couldn't put another quart there. And that's for water bathing, you can do that. For pressure canning, you don't have to have water over the jars. You can do it as long as the jars fit in the canner. Because with pressure canning, remember, how much water do you add to the bottom of your canner? 3 to 4 inches, that's right. So it's not dependent upon how much water is over the lid of the jar with pressure. But with water bathing, if you're going to stack your jars, the water has to cover the jars by 1 to 2 inches.
So with pressure canners, you only need
3 to 4 inches of water in the canner, no matter how many jars you put in, as long as the jars fit in the canner.
and the thing you put in between.
There's a tray that sits on the bottom of the canner. Every canner comes with 2 of those. So if you're going to do 2 layers of jars, you would put 1 tray on the bottom, and on top of those jars you would put the second tray, and then put the second layers of jars on top of that. Okay, number 11. Never let food cool before processing hot pack recipes. True or false? Never let the food cool before packing hot pack recipes. That is true. It's a hot pack recipe. So the food should be hot when you put it in the jar. The jar should be hot when you put it in the canner. Okay. Number 12. Canning both fruits and vegetables is safer when you use the open kettle method. What do you think? When you use the open kettle method. The open kettle means that first of all, they said canning fruits and vegetables together. Is that possible? Jake says, no. Jake is right. No. Why is it not possible, Jake?
Because vegetables you use water bath, and fruits use water bath. Vegetables you can only pressure can.
That's correct. That is correct. So no matter what method that they're talking about, the fruits and the vegetables do not need to be processed together. I know somebody who pressure cooks all of his fruits and his vegetables. That's his choice. It's not the recommended method. That's his choice, and he does that because he likes the way it comes out. And I think he likes his fruit softer. So, but that's not the recommended way to do it. The texture of the food is better if you follow the recommendations. Okay, number 13.
What was number 12? Was that false?
It's false. Number 13, paraffin or wax seals will last for years when used to seal jam, jelly, or preserves. This is an old-fashioned method done many years ago. It's not a recommended method anymore. I know when we used to do it, you still had the possibility of bacteria or mold growing on your jam, and the old people used to scrape it off. But the reason it's not used anymore is because that seal doesn't always completely seal around the jar, and because it's easy to break. You know, wax, if it heats up, it shrinks, and then the seal is broken, and then mold will grow in your jar. So it's not even used anymore. The cold pack processing method is unsafe for canning fruits and vegetables. Is that true or false? Some of us looked up the times in our book, and we found 2 canning methods. What were they? Hot pack and cold pack. So is the cold pack method used for canning fruits and vegetables?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Cold pack merely means that when you have your fruits and vegetables and you chop them up, you don't put them in any hot liquid, you don't cook them, you put them in the jar first, and you add cold water to them. A hot pack method means that you have cooked your vegetables or fruits and you're putting them in the jar hot. Now with cold pack, you can put hot liquid in a cold pack jar, but then you have to use a warm canner. So a cold pack method means the food itself is not cooked before you put it in the jar.
So what did you
So-
say about the cold pack, adding the warm water?
You can cold pack by adding cold water to uncooked vegetables, or you can add warm stock to uncooked vegetables. It just means the food is not cooked before you put it in the jar.
Is there an advantage or
For us, there's an advantage because we're trying to maintain the nutritional content of our food. The cold pack method is where you bring in your vegetables and you wash them and cut them the day you're going to can them, because you're trying to maintain that nutritional integrity. And so, therefore, most of the time you're going to add cold stock or cold water to that, because you don't want any cooking to happen until you put it in the canner. So that's the main reason. It maintains the brightness and the color, as well as the nutrient value.
With the cold pack?
With the cold pack method. Okay, the steam canner is the latest method of safely canning food. So the steam canner, we didn't talk about the steam canner. People use this device called a steam canner. It's a pot, and it's like steaming vegetables. There's a rack in the bottom, and you put water underneath that rack. You sit your jars on top of it. You put a lid on top of it, and you steam them. This is not a safe way of canning your vegetables, because the heat level of that steam is not intense enough to penetrate all of the food in the jar and kill the bacteria. So it is not safe. You'll also hear people saying that they put their jars in the oven and they crank up the temperature in the oven. But that is not proven to be safe either, because you still cannot tell if the heat penetrated the middle. You know, sometimes you can bake things in the oven. That's why you have to test a cake with a toothpick, because we don't know what is happening in the center of our food. So it's not safe to put your food in the microwave or in the oven to can it. Besides that, I don't know how you could do that in a microwave with a metal lid on it. But people do say they put their food in the microwave to can it. And then they take it out and they put the lid on and they turn it upside down and they say it seals. But I would never try that. Besides that, the microwave continuously cooks your food, pulls out the nutrients, and so what you end up with is not a nutritious food product. Number 16. If you do not have a pressure canner, it is recommended that a pressure cooker is the next best thing to use. True or false?
False, because there's no gauge.
That's right. False, because there's no gauge. Also, most pressure cookers, you can't get enough jars in there to make it worth your while. But it is false. Using the microwave is a quick shortcut method to can foods. No, we know that. 18, traditionally, a conventional oven is an effective method of canning food. No, it is not. 19, glass and wire clamp-on lids are just as safe to can with as the 3-ring lids are. Who knows what a glass and wire clamp-on jar is? You've seen those before. They used to can in those. Those are not safe to can in anymore. There's a company out now that has perfected that they say you can use, but I would not use those. They're very good for storing dry goods, though. Okay, number 20. There is no such thing as reusable canning jars. False. All canning jars, pretty much, unless they're chipped, cracked, or damaged in any way, can be reused. Okay, we're on number 21. Are there any questions so far? No questions. Okay, number 21. Always allow processed jars to remain in the canner after processing is finished for an additional 10 minutes to ensure a tight seal. True or false?
False.
False. But there are some recipes that will tell you to allow your product to rest in the canner for 5 minutes. So make sure before you start canning, read your recipe through. And that way you will know that after your canning time, that you have another 5 minutes resting in the pot before you take your jars out.
What about the pressure canners? I mean, you have to wait till they cool down.
You have to wait till they cool down, but their cool down period is between 15 and 20 minutes. So if you needed 5 minutes resting time, you've already had it during that cool down period. But as I said, be sure to read your recipe through before you start it, so that you have an idea of what your times are going to be and what you need to do before, during, and after the canning process. Number 22, you can tell if your canned food is spoiled by closely examining the jar. True or false?
False.
False. Why? Because botulism spores are not seen, and you cannot smell them, you cannot taste them. Number 23, never guess at processing times or use outdated times. True or false? True. Never guess. Always follow your recipe closely. Number 24, canned foods will only keep for longer than 1 year. True or false?
False.
That's very false.
Better
That's
not be
false.
over here. Shouldn't be here.
That's right. Number 25, used or recycled grocery store jars make great canning jars. True or false? False. False. Very good. There were a few things that we had not discussed. We have now covered them. All right, do you have any questions?
You said botulism,
You can't taste it?
See it,
No.
smell it, or taste it.
If there are some things that indicate that food is bad. One thing about botulism spores, it tingles on your tongue when you eat food. This is what I've been told by people who've actually done it. It tingles on your tongue when you eat food that has botulism spores in it. And it doesn't take very much of that to kill you. So they said if you open your food and it immediately begins to like foam up, toss it. If you see anything around the jar that looks molded, toss the food. If you have any questions about it when you open it, it may be normal because some discoloration is normal, discoloration of the lid is normal, and when you make spaghetti sauce, the spaghetti sauce will tend to clump around the rim of the jar, just like it does when you buy it from the grocery store, and discolor. That is normal. But if you question it, boil it, rolling boil, 20 minutes before you serve it. That will kill botulism spores if they were there. Any more questions?
You said boil for 20 minutes?
20 minutes, rolling boil for 20 minutes.
And spaghetti sauce will,
Spaghetti sauce usually dries around the rim of your jar, and it'll leave a dark color there, and that's normal. When you buy it from the store, you see that same drying and around the jar or inside of the lid of the jar.
What is a rolling boil?
A rolling boil is this, where it's boiling and the water is constantly moving and bubbling up. That is a rolling boil.
cook for 20 minutes?
Yes, for 20 minutes. All right, any more questions? We are finished. This was our last day. I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation. I was blessed. Thank you very much.
So I see you were
Right here. Yeah, put your space right there. One back here. Not yet. Blend. Yellow blend.
Ah, your cherries kept their color.
blend
They're red. They do turn the candy liquid red too, so it'll be a little pink.
See some of the cherries down there.
Yeah, they're lighter.
It's not